3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I guess it's probably over 2 years worth of stuff. Some better than others. I mean, because it is really at the core of it, it's just two friends talking about things that they're interested in, basically, right? So
yeah.
I mean,
that's how it starts, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to just get started, and it grows from there.
Yeah. So you know, I'm not sure how many beers I drank on that podcast. Probably a few, right? So it's like, oh well,
who knows? But that's part of the fun of it all, too. Like, I don't know. Like, that's what you do if your buddies were over hanging out and shooting shit, listening to music or whatever. You'd have a couple of beers or whatever, and somebody get angry at somebody for saying somebody sucks, and that's how it goes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it, right? That's exactly how it goes.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd appreciate you going back and taking a look at it, and I mean, as well as the engagement on Instagram and stuff. We love to see that stuff as well. So we definitely appreciate it.
Oh, I love what you guys are doing. Right, it's cool. This is like we're kind of in the age of more grassroots media, and you can and like independent media. Everything from, obviously, you know, you can take it in a more serious way in terms of like news and journalism and investigation and whatever. That's a whole other thing. But you know, in the whole podcasting space, everything from like smaller independent things to, I mean, what comedian now doesn't have a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Just so many things, but it's cool because you can see. I don't even know half the names of the podcasts that I watch segments from or clips from or whatever, but I just see like, I saw one, you know, or Billy Corgan's podcast, for example, or that's a really cool one. I saw one random thing where Brad Pitt was talking about working with Quentin Tarantino. So I was like, oh man, I got to listen to that. I have no idea what the podcast is or who the people are that he's talking to. There are other film industry people or something, but, you know, just I'm really interested. I like him as an actor, and I love Quentin Tarantino as a director. Yeah. So I'm like, I want to hear him talk about working with them. And you know, you had to back in the day, you had to read like a specific interview about that. Someone had to go and get that info. It wasn't just people shooting the shit. And I think that's why podcasts have gotten so popular, is because it's conversational, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, like you say, a bunch of buddies are over, you're having some beers, you're shooting the shit, you're talking about whatever. The topics naturally go to interesting places, and there's you stumble on new things and things you're, you know, in accord with and things you disagree with, and it's awesome. But it's natural. People are going to be drawn to it because we're all like drawn to natural conversation. So.
Yeah.
There's my philosophical.
It's definitely it's shifted definitely from your conventional media to people can relate more to whether it is, you know, Hollywood actors, movie directors, to just regular people like me and Sam here. So it's like people, you know, can pick and choose what they want to hear, and there's so much available for everyone that there's something for everyone, right? So.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah,
it's cool to see like those people in that context. Like I really used to enjoy like the actor studio, and I know like you know, there's an audience, but it's really just 2 or 3 people kind of talking or whatever. You know what I mean? It's the same idea. I was just having the audiences there, but
totally
that's something I really liked, because the audience asks questions and stuff, but it's questions that would probably come up anyway. It's not really direct. You just kind of flowing with it. Yes, he has a bunch of questions to ask, but it kind of goes off into different places. He lets them talk. So like that's what I think. I like those types of things kind of disappeared when podcasts showed up, because you know what I mean. Like now that's the replacement for those types of things. But now it's like you can see almost anybody. But it gets really human after about 45 minutes too. Like people kind of lose their celebrityness or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that thing starts to fall off, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, did you fucking see this?" And they're getting excited about something really, you know, that has nothing to do with anything that they do what you know them for, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I think seeing that stuff is cool too. Like it makes, I don't know, you just see a different side of people. It's just totally different. Like you're saying, you'd have to fucking buy the magazine or like wait for the interview to come out on VH1
or like late night television.
Like, and even late night television was still kind of fluffy, so like they never, you know what I mean? Like you never really got anything
fluffy and just short.
10
you don't
minute.
really get into the weeds, and they're there to like promote a thing or like be the guy, not just in their natural state.
Yes. Yeah. You
talking about everyday life. You get such a behind the scenes look at people with these podcasts, and it's great.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. It's a more human side, right? People can relate to it, like I said. Yeah.
One thing, like one side of it, like one I always take is like skateboarding is a big one, like because you never got to see like especially maybe we had a different experience, but like for us, like because we live so far away from this little island, skateboarding, like we were really into it and stuff, but you couldn't just go see skateboarders. Like we were the skateboarders,
right?
There was nobody else,
right?
You know what I mean? Like so, like to see them, but now to be able to like go back and look at like say Nine Club and watch all those skaters from our era that were huge and that brought up skating at that point, and see those guys talk about that stuff that we seen, you know what I mean? It's crazy. Like totally. That's very cool. Like that's the stuff I like. Same thing when I listen to music podcasts, like it's like, oh, I want to hear the story of the thing, whatever, you know, the album or the song or whatever it is you're talking about, like something like I like that part of it, right? Like it's, you get to relive the nostalgia again. Like it's like, oh yeah, I always wondered, or that's such a cool story, or I didn't know that, or like you get so much deep more stuff into
pulls
it.
the curtain back a little bit.
Yeah, I like it. I love
it. See behind the scenes a little, which is why we have Mr. Kevin Dietz with us today, folks. How we doing?
Amazing. Thanks to be here. Thanks for having me, and great to chat with you guys.
Well, so you dropped a little cookie about your first ever concert ever, and I'm dying to hear about how that kind of came about, and how old were you?
Gotcha.
Like all that. Tell me all about that.
Well, so I'm from Edmonton originally. I was born and raised Edmonton, Alberta.
Nice.
And
hometown crowd.
Hometown crowd, yeah. Home province. It was obviously this was with Sammy Hagar.
Okay.
Singing. This is not. I was not able to go see David Lee Roth in concert. I'm not quite of that vintage. But my dad worked for Edmonton Northlands, the exhibition grounds and where the arena was that the Oilers played at that time, and that's where all the concerts were. And when I was a kid, like 10, 11, 12 years old, I was into I had a friend who was into a lot of like hair metal and hard rock and stuff. So we were listening to like AC/DC and Guns N' Roses, and I just loved Van Halen. I can't remember where I first heard Van Halen, but I had we had a family friend who had all the Van Halen albums like on CD, and he would let me listen to them when our families got together, and the parents were having a few drinks and having a party, and the kids needed to be entertained. I just put on the headphones and would just listen through all his Van Halen CDs. So I loved Van Halen, and I don't remember how it came up, but I found out they were coming to town, and I said to my dad, Dad, please, I want to go to Van Halen. I was just a kid, and because he worked for Northlands, he could get tickets in advance. Like you had to buy them, but he could basically guarantee tickets in advance. And they weren't like nosebleeds either. They were in those sections that they kind of reserve for people. It's like lower bowl, kind of 2 sections off of the stage, like kind of the best seats in the house. If you're in the stands, you get like a good 45-degree view of the stage. You see everything.
Perfect.
Nice.
So he got a bunch of Van Halen tickets, and he and another family friend and his son and another one of my friends. So I think there were maybe 5 of us or 6 of us in total. There are my dad and my uncle. I call them, Uncle Len. They took us all to Van Halen at the Edmonton Coliseum, and that was my first concert. And first big rock show and stuff. And it was kind of mind blowing.
Oh man,
I would say
I can't imagine, honestly. Like
what year are we talking about here?
Like it was in November of '91, and just recently, I was back in Edmonton, and I was visiting with my aunt, and she introduced me to my dad's sister, and she introduced me to a lot of music, and she had a framed picture of like all these all these ticket stubs of shows she'd been to, and she had the Van Halen ticket because she was at that one too. And I didn't have I have a stack of ticket stubs like this big, and just all the shows I've seen over the years. I mean, they don't give out actual physical tickets now, but when they did, and she had that Van Halen ticket from way back, and the concert, it was like the ticket cost was like $35. These guys had like a number one hit. They had number one hits and shit.
Oh
so she gave me all of her ticket stubs, but the one that I was like the most stoked about was the Van Halen one, because I was like, man, that is literally my first ever concert.
It's a
full circle
from it.
That's a grail of a concert too. Yeah. And you must have honestly felt like you were seeing God, literally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like here's the kicker. Here's like to add to it. The opening band was Alice in Chains.
Oh my God.
Oh, is that tour? Holy shit, that's nuts.
It was that tour.
That tour, yeah.
Tour.
Did you know much about Alice in Chains at the time, or were you just like, here
Zero.
They are, and oh my God.
Zero. I knew nothing about them.
Sick.
And so it was one of my friends who was like a year younger. The same friend of mine that introduced me to Poison, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, all these sort of hair metal bands. He knew of Alice in Chains, and so he was like, "Oh, they're a cool band, and they've got a song on the radio right now, Man in the Box." And and he was like, "Yeah, this is the song. This is the song." I don't remember too much of how they sounded or anything because I'd never heard them before, but I do remember the crowd wasn't super receptive, and I think someone threw something at Lane Staley, and he cursed the guy out from the stage. And me just being a little kid, hearing all these expletives coming from the stage, I was like, "Oh man, this is hardcore." I thought like, man, what is going on here? This is badass. This is wild.
That is awesome.
It was great.
That's like that was a huge like tour for them. Like they trudged through that tour.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's sick that you got to see that.
Being a Van Halen fan, like, have you read that Alex Van Halen book, Brothers?
I haven't. I really want to. I haven't yet. It's like anything to do with the Van Halen history. I'm pretty interested in. I'm kind of disappointed that there's like this ongoing big rift between everyone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bummer that like he doesn't say anything about the Sammy years, because they're important too.
Yeah.
But again though, whatever, because you're getting like, you can't get more of an inside look into the person than from Alex Van Halen, really, right? He was there for literally everything, and he was a huge part of everything. So, I was excited when that book came out, and then it sort of fell off my radar. And now you've reminded me of it, so I think I need to go pick it up.
Yeah,
I want to get it off. Yeah, because I meant to get it last time.
It was I read it, I think, in 5 or 6 days. Like, it was one of those things where you're kind of just totally into it, and he does kind of only just kind of skim over the Sammy Hagar thing, like I mean, but there was this kind of, maybe not rift is a good word to say, but like, I mean, him and David Lee Roth kind of pushed everyone's buttons a little bit and kind of saw himself as more than everyone else. So I mean, it's you could definitely sense a little bit of tension there, but definitely a good read, and if you're a fan, definitely check that out for sure.
I've got to. Thank you for the reminder. I've got it.
Yeah, just crazy into these like musician biography memoirs lately. So it's like Definitely
so good.
Definitely at the top of my list for sure.
Also, Alex Van Halen is possibly the most underrated drummer of all time. Just putting that out there.
For sure.
He's like one
killer.
of my favorites of all time.
Everyone,
he's sick.
Everyone says so. Like you ask any rock drummer and they'll say the same. No one is really like lukewarm on Alex Van Halen.
No,
right?
no. He's so good. Good.
He's amazing.
It's a shame that his brother was also good at both, but more at guitar.
Right?
Like unreal drummer though.
Well, they were they had
did a little flip flop there.
They were Eddie was the drummer and Alex was the guitar player, and they switched.
Yeah, because he originally started with the piano thing or whatever, playing. Yeah, because that was his parents' rules or whatever. Was you got to learn classical piano or whatever it was, and then it switched off to drums, and then it was like, oh, I don't want to do this, want to do that, and then switched. And
Alex knew, he's like, you're a lot better at this.
DNA.
Yeah.
It's crazy too because what's his kid's name? From Mammoth,
Wolfgang,
yeah, like he's unreal too. Like people could say whatever, like people could say whatever, like nepo baby shit or whatever bullshit, but like, dude's talented as fuck, man.
Absolutely,
like
100%,
super, and like I really enjoy it. His music's sick. I think like it sounds good. He does different stuff. He sounds wicked, and like the fact that he plays sometimes like his dad, or it sounds like that maybe. Whatever, man. Like how old is he? He's like 30 probably or whatever. And like, you know what I mean? Like he's like 30. He's influenced. No, everybody's influenced now. It's too late.
Who could fault him? Like what guitar player that does, a little shred ski now and then, who isn't influenced by Eddie Van Halen? Eddie Van Halen is on the Mount Rushmore of guitar players because there was before Eddie Van Halen and there was guitar playing after Eddie Van Halen.
It's like the Hendrix thing, right? Like it was two movements. There was the Hendrix thing and then there was the Eddie thing. Like, and there's not really been anybody since that, really. Like there's people doing cool shit, but like everybody is doing the tap thing still. Everybody's trying to do that, but just in cooler ways.
Sure.
Nothing's different. Just cooler stuff.
Yeah.
People who change
more depth.
We even mentioned Eddie Van Halen before this podcast because we were listening to a song by Big Wreck called Holy Roller. I don't know if you've heard that track before.
Oh yeah.
Like it fucking absolutely rips, dude. And it's like he's pulling the Eddie Van Halen and like, oh my god, like Ian Thornley is so fucking good, man.
Oh yeah, another super underrated band, and everybody in the band is super underrated technically, but like specifically him, he's an unreal singer, like unreal singer, and then to play that
guitar player,
and then what's his name? Steve is the other guy? Steve is his name, I think. But anyway, the other good boys are crazy. Boys are unreal. When you see them live, like I seen them live in the summer at a little bar, like at Better Than Fred's here in town. It's a little bar, like twice.
Better Than Fred's.
Better Than Fred's. You know.
I do know.
You do know?
You know.
Yes.
I know Better Than Fred's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows Better Than
Let's
Fred's.
go.
It's fucking hilarious.
Shout out John, Better Than Fred's.
Shout out John, yeah. But yeah, I seen him there, and like you're like 4 inches from Ian Thornley, like melting your face off, man. And he's like singing.
Yeah, that's pretty close proximity. That would indeed melt your face. Yeah.
Oh, it's not like you can't believe what you're seeing or hearing. Like you can't believe the two things are happening at the same time. It's nuts to watch, and he just does it like it's no big deal. Like, dude, take it easy, man. Save a lick for everybody else. Save one lick for everybody else, please.
Save a lick.
Save a lick, man. Holy grail.
So Kevin, like, how long after you saw that concert you picked up a guitar for the first time?
It was actually a couple of years later because Van Halen was a huge one for me, and kicking off that concert, that was that really set the ball rolling for sure. But I was at like a young age where I'm still kind of discovering a lot of music, and it didn't, actually wanting to, like, I wanted to play guitar, and I started, like buying guitar magazines and stuff, but for whatever reason, it didn't really occur to me, or, not that my parents weren't into it, but I don't think there was ever any kind of like, forward momentum to start playing guitar yet. It wasn't until like the 90s Seattle alternative rock thing hit that I was like just at that age, like 12, 13 years old. I think I got my first guitar when I was 13 years old. And yeah, like hearing, like I think I first heard Nevermind when I was 12 years old, and I was just I was just blown away. I'd never heard anything like it. It was so different from all of the like all of that kind of hard rock stuff that I'd heard before.
Yeah.
And then so Nirvana kind of blew my mind, but the band that really drew me in to the music and like the melody and everything was Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam is kind of like Pearl Jam is probably like my Beatles. They're sort of like the band that made me like really fall in love with music. And but probably like a year after I discovered Pearl Jam and started listening to them, they also came to Edmonton.
Yes.
Like way early on. And they never came back until like 15 years later type thing, like way later. I had already moved out here when they came back to Edmonton, but I saw them at the Edmonton Convention Center, 3,000. It was like a 3,000 some cap venue, and they basically played the whole 10 album because that's all that was out.
Oh man,
that's crazy. Jeez.
And so it was like that was in August of '93, and then a month after that, I got my first guitar.
Oh man,
that was it. What was the first song you learned? I always ask everybody that. What's the first song,
man,
that you could play? What do you remember? The first one you could play like all the way through?
I don't even know if I can play any song all the way through these days.
Funny how that goes.
I know. I would try and figure out tab in the back of guitar magazines.
Yeah.
And I actually remember, I don't really remember the song at all, but do you remember a band called Ugly Kid Joe?
Oh yeah,
100%.
Absolutely.
I feel like they had a song, they had like a big hit song, and there was some lick or riff in there, and I feel like I kind of fumbled my way through it and figured out that riff from reading
Guitar World or something.
Everything About You was a hit.
Everything About You, yeah.
That's
Everything
one.
About You, yeah.
That's
That's it. I was trying to think of the name of it. That's funny.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's awesome.
Oh man,
and then I started taking guitar lessons right away, and my guitar teacher taught me a whole bunch of stuff that not necessarily stuff that I would have wanted to learn just of my own interest, but stuff that he thought would be good. So there was like a Beatles song, Day Tripper, and Layla by Eric Clapton. And, even actually not Layla. It was Cocaine, because it was probably more of like a rhythm exercise or something. And
that's awesome.
There was another one he taught me for like a strumming pattern, and it was just all kind of like the open chords and whatever. Stand By Me. Ben E. King, Stand By Me. He would teach me all these and House of the Rising Sun, which happens to be my dad's favorite song of all time. So he was perfect. He was thrilled that I was learning how to play House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a learning guitar standard. Like no matter who you are, 100%. At some point along the way, you have had to learn that song.
That'd be a proud dad moment, right?
100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah, coming in and playing that. Oh yeah.
Are you guys musicians? Do you guys play?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I went to. Well, I went to school for engineering, but I mean, we did music and shit.
Right.
Yeah, and I've played guitar too since I was about 13 as well. So
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
very cool.
That's kind of why we kind of gravitate more towards music side of when we want to interview someone who's in the industry or someone who has experience and stuff like that. So, and fun fact. Yeah. The very first CD I've ever owned, and I've said this on the podcast a million times, but Pearl Jam 10 was the first CD I've ever owned.
I was gonna say you're another jammer.
Yeah. So when I hear that, I'm just like,
so good.
Yeah.
See, I was like a Nirvana guy. Like I was on that, like fully on to that. Like fully. Yeah. Even now, like I still don't get into deep into the Pearl Jam, but I still like Nirvana. It's not like I'm not going to diss anybody for like a Pearl Jam.
No.
Not my bag or whatever.
Well, they're completely different, right? The whole thing with all those Seattle bands. If there's so many of them, but like, you know, the big four that got huge: Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. They're all radically different. Yeah. They don't sound anything alike, but they're all so fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah. They all got
I adore all of those bands.
Oh,
I absolutely love all of those bands. I can still listen to that music, especially the early stuff that, you know, like you experience when you're a kid. I listen to that early stuff and it still makes me shake my head like, man, this is like, it takes me back. It really takes me back. I just love that music.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like it was an influence to me through like my older brother and some friends of mine as well. So it is very nostalgic sounding to me as well. Like, and I think it was way ahead of its time. Like, I don't think people realize how great that era of music was. You know, from the early mid to mid 90s, kind of like, honestly,
even it changed the sound of like alternative rock records or whatever you want to say, or rock records to a certain, you know what I mean? Like you had like, because there was like, say, coming out of the 80s, like if you're gonna like say things that you would potentially hear on the radio, you know, like The Cure or something in that kind of vibe, even like Depeche Mode, maybe something in that vibe. And then it was like
Depeche Mode.
I do too, to be fair. But then you had a lot of pop music, you know, there's this pop thing, which whatever, that's cool too. But there was no in between, and then all of a sudden like this fresh, because I don't know, maybe it's just my angle, but I don't think it, like Nirvana were awesome, don't get me wrong that way, but I think the sound of that record like was a big part of that. It just sounded different. Like
100%.
The whole sound, like the sound of the record was totally different than anything else. It was humongous. Like crazy. It's nuts how different that's at. And even now when you put it on, if you didn't, like if I wasn't 40 years old, it doesn't age really. Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
It doesn't, I don't know. It still 100%. Sounds like a new record. Like it's so good. Like the quality of it's so good and the performances are so good and it's just good. Like and it sounds so polished, but not like it's super poppy, but it's not. And like, it's very modern.
It's one of the all-time, these albums are like they're some of the greatest of all time, the greatest rock albums of all time. And I mean, never mind that one. Yeah, that one blew a lot of minds. Yeah, I had my mind blown twice by Nirvana because then I went back and a friend had Bleach on cassette. And then I heard Bleach. I almost couldn't believe it was the same band.
Yeah, 100%.
But even though, you know, Nirvana's discography is pretty small because they weren't around very long. But I gotta say, man, like Bleach might even be like, it's a close, for me, it's Bleach and Nevermind, or like in, I don't even, like, they're almost tied. They're almost tied.
In high school, I got really into, like, I loved Bleach. In like high school, early 20s, I just was like, this is the thing. Like, that's the coolest. Like, I don't know. It's like it's punk rock and it's Led Zeppelin. It's like, this is the cool shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Yeah. But now that I'm a little older, I still really like listening to Muddy Banks of Wishka, to be fair. That's probably my favorite thing to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
But In Utero is like my favorite album, I guess, like actual album.
Oh, so good.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Legendary.
Oh, yeah. And they all are. Like, I mean, anything that Alice in Chains did, even the new stuff without Lane is smoking. Yeah. Like,
I love it. Oh, yeah. I'm all in on Alice in Chains across the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when they came out with that new single, Check My Brain, I think it was
called. The riff, man. That riff. I mean, Jerry Cantrell is, you know, riff lord.
What a comeback.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and like everybody was like, there was such a build up to that too, and like everybody was talking about that and like what that was going to be, and like William Duvall is involved, and like what is this going to look like, and I love it. I think it's
so. I was really lucky because like I moved out to Toronto in 2005, and to go to school for audio engineering, and then get started and then, like, you know, work in the industry. But one of the perks of living out this way is that every concert comes out here.
Yeah.
Everything comes here. So when they did their tour for that album, like their first tour in however long since Lane passed, they came to Toronto and I went to see it. It was Mastodon, Deftones, and Alice in Chains. They all had albums out at that time. Mastodon had Crack the Sky. Deftones had Diamond Eyes, and Alice in Chains had Black Gives Way to Blue.
Jeez.
And so like it was an insane lineup. It was such a good show. And I love all three of those albums. Crack the Sky is my favorite Mastodon album. Diamond Eyes could probably be my favorite Deftones album, and then Alice in Chains is. I mean, come on, Dirt's my favorite Alice in Chains album, but
it's always good. Everything they do is good.
Blue is incredible. It's an incredible.
That is an
album,
incredible.
So.
It sounds. That's another album that sounds really, really, really really good. Like very toasty
really
album. Very toasty album.
Yeah. So
yes.
Okay. So I don't want to skip too far ahead. Like I know you.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you moved out to Toronto, you went to school for audio engineering. Just tell us about all that and how.
Tell us about working at Metalworks and being at Metalworks. I'm interested. I'm
absolutely legendary Metalworks.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
Metalworks.
you got to experience so much stuff there. Like tell us about like what's the early memories that kind of stand out and how you got started into all that.
Well, I was I'll back it up just a bit. Before I left Edmonton, I was apprenticing as an electrician, and I was working for a company that did oil field electrical. So I worked out in Nisku, Alberta. Just south of the city, big industrial park, and I worked for a company that did like automation and controls and stuff on drilling rigs. So that in itself was really cool. I got to do a few service calls like up out your guys' way, right? Up north there, and in kind of northern BC and stuff, and go on rigs while they were in the ground drilling, and it was cool and everything. But I just remember one day after work, work was really busy, and I had a band. We played covers, and we're working on some originals and stuff. And work was so busy. I was working a lot of overtime, and sometimes I'd work till from like 12-hour days or more, and I had to keep bailing on band practices and stuff. And one day after, it's like dead of winter, and got home at 8:00 at night, and I just felt really defeated. And I was like, what am I doing? It's like this is like a great career path, but in so many ways. But I thought to myself, is this really what I want to do? Am I going to be happy going down this path? And I had already been a bit into the recording thing, and I had a really big interest in it. And I had like a small home setup, and I was just fooling around with it. I was just getting my feet wet with the recording thing at a very amateur, just guesswork level. But I was really into it. I had a subscription to Home Recording Magazine and Recording and maybe Mix Magazine or something.
Mix Magazine.
And I would just open up and see all these big consoles, and I knew all the not all the names. I knew like a bunch of names of the SSL consoles and some of the gear and the microphones and stuff. And I just dreamed of using that stuff. And it became clear to me that I should maybe pursue that. So I got home late from work one night, and I just went online and just started looking up audio engineering schools everywhere from Vancouver to Montreal and like everywhere in between, and just checking it out. A couple in the States too, like Full Sail, but I don't know. I just had it in mind that I would do it in Canada because it's where we are. But so I had a few in mind and sent away for some info. And Metalworks had just started up their school, their recording school. It's their audio engineering school. So I applied to that and had a little phone interview, and they were like, yeah, that's great. You can, you're approved. So here's the deal. And if, you want to come out and do that, then go for it. So I figured everything out, all the logistics with that. And I was living at home at the time and just working my ass off. So I had a bunch of money saved up, and I used that to move across the country and pay rent for a year on an apartment. So I didn't have to work, and I could just go to school. And I just went through and did that. And I was just fully dedicated to it. That's all I did. It was only a 1-year program.
Okay.
And that's really all that was needed. I mean, I know there are 2-year programs, there's 4-year programs out there and everything. It was just like super concentrated. You went to school, it was like Monday to Friday, kind of 9 to or 8:30 to 4:30 or whatever it was, and you just go, and they teach you. They had classes on everything from music theory to acoustics to hands-on studio lab stuff, Pro Tools, some audio post-production, all kinds of stuff. And I couldn't get enough of it, and I just ate it up and put in the work. But I was so interested in it that it didn't feel it wasn't difficult. I just had to do the work and put in the effort. And I graduated top of my class, and then I went. There wasn't an opening at the studio at the time, because the classes took place right next to the studio, but you didn't do things in the actual studio.
Oh, okay.
And we did go and sit in on some sessions and just kind of observe, but we didn't do classes in the studio. They had a couple little studios in the building that was like attached to it. But so
right.
after the course was done, there wasn't like a spot available at the studio for like an internship or anything. So I started working at their live production company, which is basically like, loading trucks and packing road cases and then even going out on some gigs and help to like load, set up the show. You hang around for the show and then you unload, and you get home at 2-3 a.m. And so I did that for about 6 months, and then there was an opening at the studio, and I marched right over and met with the studio manager, Paul Gross, and I also at the time knew Gilmore, the owner of the studio. So, and they knew I was a student at the school and that I'd done well in the course and everything. So I went in and said, "Hey, I understand there's an opening," and I was like, "I want in," and they said, "Yeah, absolutely." So they're like, "Here's how it goes: you start as an intern, and then we see if make sure you don't mess up and that you learn the ropes. And then if you're good, then we'll hire you." And as it turns out, there was kind of like a bit of a changeover happening there. The head engineer at the time was leaving and going freelance. So the senior engineer got bumped up to head engineer. Another guy was leaving to go into another field, and one guy was also on his way out. And so there was like a bit of a churn that hadn't happened for a few years. So myself and a couple other people got in there and stuck around for, I think I ended up working there for like about 7.5 years.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Metal.
I mean, I'm not surprised that you're doing so well at this, because you took the initiative to leave a good paying job up here. You know what I mean? Not many people
jump off.
You said this is not it right now. I want to go see if I can do this, and you fucking did it.
Yeah,
right.
Sick. Yeah.
I mean, and even when the job opportunity came up, you put yourself in front of them and said, "Hey, like, listen, I want this. I heard this is open and available," and you started as an intern, right? I mean, it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
I mean, totally change your
interning is not where it's, and he's probably still a little bit old school there, I'm assuming, at that point too. So,
you got it.
Like rap.
Absolutely.
Can you even wrap a cable, young man? And you know what I mean? Like all these kind of things.
Oh no, it was definitely, I figured that out real quick. I think I went in with the right attitude. If I can be not modest for a second, I think I had the proper attitude.
Yeah.
When I was done school, like you learn a lot in the school, and like, okay, so I knew how an SSL console worked. I knew the patch bay. I knew the gear. I kind of knew, but I realized that I had no idea how you run a session or how things actually happen in the studio at that scale. Yeah. So my whole mindset was, okay, you know nothing. You're going into this fresh, and today is day one. Your first day in the studio, that's day one. All that other stuff, that's your base level to get you in the door to start at the bottom.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that's your foundation, but you're still at the bottom, and you don't know shit, and learn on the job. And that that was my mentality. So I kind of like, had a talk with myself and said, here's the attitude you got to take. You got to be a sponge, and you have 2 ears and one mouth, so you need to listen twice as much as you speak. And in the studio thing, with the old school way like that, it's basically you listen all the time and speak never.
Yeah.
And just be ready when someone has something for you to do. You got to jump up and get it done, and apply your knowledge, and then go back to your little corner and just wait. It was a long haul. It was a long haul. I didn't do a single session on my own for like a year for sure. It was all just assistant stuff, and that's fine. That's great.
Yeah, I think that's necessary to a certain degree, because like you're saying, like it's one thing to run the gear and know what it does and whatever, but it's another thing to like be in the room. It's another thing to be able to potentially, deal with the disagreement. It's another thing to, what happens when something's starting to not go right. There's a whole dynamic of the whole thing. It's not just as simple as like, okay, I pushed the button, you play the thing, okay, we're good. It's not like that. No. There's a whole dynamic of the whole thing. Like and I think it should be that way, right? Like you should be able to look before you leap with this situation, because it's not for that. It's not a rush thing. It's not meant for that.
100%. That's absolutely true. Like what you say, it's not as simple as push the button, you work the gear, and things happen. In fact, that's like the base level of what has to go on. So, I was talking about, okay, I went to school and learned a whole bunch of stuff, and then you get into the studio and it's like, okay, all of that is over here, and now I'm starting at the bottom. When you work for a certain amount of time as an assistant or as an engineer and a second engineer, whatever, and you learn the process and everything, when you get to a point where you strike out on your own and you're starting to run your own sessions and you're working with artists, all of that technical know-how, now that becomes the new base. Like everyone has to know how to get a good sound and run the gear and do all that. But that becomes your new base level. That's your minimum level of entry. It's everything after that. How you work with musicians, how you get sounds, and how you help to create the whole thing from nothing, right? Someone has a song and you're trying to build it up from something that doesn't exist, something that permanently exists and sounds a certain way. And there's at every stage, it's you get to a certain level of knowledge and experience, and then that becomes sort of your baseline of what you're expected to deliver. And it's everything on top of that becomes just as or more important.
I would agree with that.
Like there's almost an element of like human psychology to it as well, right? Because you're dealing with different individuals and different groups of people, and you're trying to get what's inside their brain and inside their heart almost out into a sound, right? And you're trying to encapsulate that as well.
You're trying
right?
to bring something physical out from nothing. And it's like, what I always found with that kind of stuff was like, as you're working along, like it's not like even like Legos, like there are no pieces generally. Like you might have a little bit, but sometimes you have nothing. Like sometimes you're just like, okay, we're making songs now. This is what you're doing today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it works that way sometimes. Like you're building the pieces even to put the pieces together. Like being able to like push through the 4.5 hours of playing 4 chords 30 bajillion times over and over and over until all of a sudden something else happens or whatever the thing is, and now you're on to it. Like being able to deal with those things, and like there's so many elements to being in a room with artists, just being that much alone, like not even learn how to know how to run a piece of gear, nothing. There's just a lot to that, like directing artists and trying to suck things out of them, because they're not the technical people either. Like that's something I think people don't necessarily realize, because you see them with pedals and guitars and shit or whatever, like, oh, they must be so technical, but generally they're not. And like they know how to get the sound out of the instrument kind of thing, but the rest, like, not at all generally. Like that's your piece to the whole puzzle now, is to bring that stuff to life and create these little pieces that go together, and sometimes they don't.
The trick is, though, you want to make that part of the process almost, I wouldn't say invisible, because you can never make it invisible, but you want to make it as less distracting as possible, least distracting as possible. Yeah, you want that part of you don't want the process to get in the way of the creativity or the performance or whatever. So it's really important that you have use your experience to make that aspect of it, the technical aspect, it needs to be as seamless as possible. Things come up, of course. And there are times when, you're going to say to the artist, hey, instead, because you don't record every band or every project, set everyone up and they just all play live at the same time. No. Oh, there's the song. So there are parts of it where you are going to break it up, and it is going to maybe not naturally be the way that the artist performs their art naturally. Yeah. But again, your responsibility as a producer, even as an engineer, is to make all of that technical aspect sort of fade into the background and put at the forefront their performance, their comfort, I would say, right? And just being comfortable in the environment and with the whole process. And you make all that other stuff run in the background and just focus on the creative parts of it. And then everyone has a great time and the artist feels like they're doing their best work. I guess that's the thing. You always want to make them feel like they're doing their best work and are performing at the best level they can. And they're having a good time doing it.
Yeah.
That's sort of the key.
You almost have to make them feel like, they can trust you into bringing the best out of them. And right.
100%.
Like, they know that whatever they put out there, you have their best interest in mind, and you're going to put the best product out there after the fact. And even though the A to B to C might not always be the way that they think it's going to be in their mind, but you kind of know of how it, to make the best of what they put out there, right? I guess.
Yeah. Well, you said a big key word there, and it's trust, right? It's trust in the process. It's trust in the people. They need to trust in me, and I need to trust in them. And it's a really sort of like intimate relationship between artists themselves and the producers and the engineers and everyone, because you're diving into people's creativity and their emotions, and they'll start telling you what the song is about and what it means to them. And you find out, oh, this is a pretty deep meaning to you. Like you've written this song about something that was really meaningful to you. Maybe it's happy, maybe it's sad, maybe it's tragic or whatever. And you need to treat that with respect, and it's all about trust. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and it's hard dealing with a lot of people. Do you have any experience early on where, you kind of had to, like you have a certain way of doing things, and you say, well, in a kind way, maybe the artist should just trust in you. Do you have a certain moment in that where you kind of, like, I know you kind of want to do this one way, but I kind of think it would be best if we do it kind of my way. Like it's hard to, especially as a producer early on in your career, and maybe it's an established artist, and some people have a hard time saying no to these people, right? So like did you ever have a kind of a moment like that where you had to kind of say no, I kind of think this is the way we should do it, even though, like you said, it's an emotional attachment to them, but I think the end result would be a lot better if we kind of go with my direction kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but
there's a lot of moments like that, but they're not really it's not really that severe. It's more of a discussion. And one of the good things is that, you can have a lot of these conversations beforehand, right? And that's what I love to do. When I'm going to do a project with an artist that I haven't worked with before, we'll talk about how we want things to go. And I'll suggest certain ways we could do it. And, everything from we'll record the drums at this studio, but we'll do the overdubs here, and we can do this like this. So I personally, I really like to talk about the process with the artist. I really like to be organized. I don't really love just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Say, oh yeah, okay, let's just show up at the studio and do whatever. First off, like no one's got the budget to just burn some studio time on, let's see what happens. But I don't like to anyway. I want to be super prepared and know what our plan of attack is, and discuss it beforehand. And yeah, in the moment, there's a lot of times where it's hard to think of an example because it happens in many instances on like micro levels with one thing, like a guitar part. Hey, why don't we break this up and we'll play it like this, but we'll overdub this part, so on and so forth. Let me add that effect afterward instead of, you playing it like that, or however it might go down. The times that are more memorable are times when it was, there was more like a disagreement on it, rather than just a conversation, a productive conversation on it. And yeah, there have been times when, an artist comes in. I mean, I can remember one time specifically when I was on staff at Metalworks, and I was like a staff engineer or the head engineer at that time. And a band came in and they had like 2 days to do a thing. They got like a factory grant for a demo, and they had all these strange ideas of how to record, like tuning their guitars to kind of like a random pitch. They were like, we tune it, we tune it to like they tuned it up. They tuned their guitars up a semitone. He's like, so we tune our guitars up a semitone and then just a little bit more. Like, but how much more? And so, look, I think Johnny Marr from the Smiths tuned his guitar up. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that necessarily. I mean, it might throw your guitar setup out of whack, but there's nothing inherently wrong with doing that. But I was like, okay, so what is the idea behind doing that? It just sounds cool. I'm like, all right. I said, well, now, so you guys were talking about doing some, keyboard overdubs. So just keep in mind that if your guitars are just tuned to kind of like an arbitrary tuning, it's going to be really hard to put additional instruments on afterward because it's all going to be out of tune. So that was a thing. And then there were just a few things throughout the thing that they wanted to do all these things that to me didn't seem like there was really a reason why, or like a good artistic reason why. And and I could tell, like, I kind of wanted to take it in one direction. They wanted to take it in another. And by the end of it, one of the guys in the band was like, when we recorded the demo for this, and he had played the demo on his laptop, and it was just all like, it was like really crunchy and kind of distorted stuff. He's like, we just put the laptop in the middle of the room and hit record, and then all played it. And like, we really liked that vibe. I was like, man, this is like, it was just a real challenge to bring that across. I'm like, we're in this big, vintage studio with all this great gear. I was like, I didn't say this out loud, but I was like, I don't really think you need to be here to do that. Yeah. And I was like, young in my career at the time. I wasn't really sure how to achieve that because it was one of those things where it was like a sound in the person's head based off of a demo they had done, but how do you translate that? So it was like, occasionally you get challenges like that where you really have to work hard to try and find the artist's vision and deliver that. At the same time, I was in that instance, because I actually really liked the song they had, and it reminded me of another song that was out at the time that was kind of like a big sort of indie rock hit, and I was like, we could do it like that, and it would be like this really cool song. And they didn't want to do that, so that's one of those things where you have to you have to figure it out. I mean, now at this point in my life, in this point in my career, I'm, totally realize ultimately it's the artist's song, and you need to give them what they want. You're there to fulfill their artistic vision. However, it would have been great if I had the opportunity to, really discuss these things beforehand and not, but I was a staff engineer. So the band shows up on the day of and off we go.
Yeah.
Like that's my job. So, but now I would have these conversations with an artist way ahead of time, so that by the time we got in the studio, there wouldn't be a surprise like, oh, we tuned our guitars super weird and we wanted to sound like a distorted laptop. I'd be like, cool, maybe I'm not the right guy to do that. Or if I was really into it, I'd be like, okay, cool. So let's discuss how we could make that happen. And maybe we need to do like a demo session first to kind of get our bearings straight before we, commit to a studio date or something like that. So it's all about communication and trust, like you brought up, and having a plan. I just really like to have a plan and kind of bring up all of these things ahead of time, so that let's start like aligning early on, so that
makes it easy to chart a path to the end here, kind of thing. Like, it gives you a vision for your project, even if it's just the basic. Okay, this is the 14 things we need to do. At least you have an order to start with, kind of thing. Even that much, like,
absolutely.
You got a starting point and potentially like what looks to be like the end. Because that's not always how it goes either.
Yeah.
And like you said, studio time is pretty expensive, so let's not experiment in here.
Yeah, like unless that's what you got the money and the time to do, like that's not really how. That's not what it's for. Like, especially when you're, like you're talking about, like being the staff engineer, like you're the guy who's working today and band whatever shows up and you're just recording band whatever and let's do that today and that's it. That's just what it is, kind of thing. You're not working for the label or whatever. Which is a great way to
learn your chops.
I was going to say that's the way,
and work fast and stuff. It's a killer way to do it. It's like, it probably took a few years off my life, but like there were some long days and long weeks, and just you're just going for it. But yeah, there's really no better way to learn and just hone your chops, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. That's another to go back a little bit. I knew that I wanted to come out here and find some way to get into the big studios and start at the bottom. As obviously I had dreams. I could envision myself recording or mixing some big band and but I knew that I would have to start and that's why I start at the bottom, and that's how I like to do it. That's why I gravitated toward an apprenticeship, and working in the studio is very much like a trade apprenticeship. You literally start by just being useful in the most basic ways, wrapping the cables and going to get people's lunch and just tearing everything down. Someone says, hey, can you go set up a microphone, this microphone plugged into this channel? Very simple thing, but you go out there and you do it and you have it ready quick and accurately. And amazing way to hone your chops. And I wanted that kind of boot camp. I just kind of innately knew that would be the best way for me to actually, become a professional, was to work with professionals and be their everything from their lackey to their right-hand man to whatever, I needed years of that to really get to that point.
And I was going to ask too, those long days and those long stressful days in the studio and stuff like that, you went home at night. I'm sure you were probably still absolutely enthralled with the business, and Not once did you ever think about going back up to Nisku
and the cold ass winter,
working on a drilling rig in minus 40. Like, I mean, you took it all in stride. Like, but when was it that you finally got to kind of interact and kind of work on different projects of bands that you were a fan of?
Well, I got to be in the room and part of projects right from the get-go at Metalworks of bands I was a fan of, because it's that kind of studio. Yeah. I got to, like, for example, one of my very first sessions, I was at the studio for not even a month as an intern, and I got to, I believe you guys did an interview with David Bottrell, right?
Oh, yes. We sure did.
Yes.
So I've done a lot of work over the years with David as an assistant, and I've got to engineer for him and stuff. And so the very first project that he was at Metalworks for a lot of projects over the years, and one of the very first things I did at Metalworks, he was there mixing Silverchair's Young Modern album, the last Silverchair album that they ever did. Oh, wow. He mixed that at Metalworks, and so I was the assistant. So I just sat in the room. But my only job, because I didn't know anything, I was so green. I didn't know shit. My job was to plug in the gear that he wanted. Put this on this channel, that on that channel, patch in the gear. Take recalls on paper, because we didn't have smartphones at the time, so couldn't just take pictures of the gear. So I had to write down the settings for the gear after every mix, because he change stuff. Take a console recall, and then in between that, just sit there and be quiet while he mixed the album and go get lunch and dinner orders. Wow. But the crazy thing was, Daniel Johns was there for oh my God, the majority of the mix. Oh, so I'm sitting there literally in the back corner of the room. I've got a little assistant's computer doing. I'm just there to be ready for anything. And David is up at the console mixing the album, mixing songs, and then on the back couch, Daniel Johns is just hanging out. Oh, listening to the song, making comments here and there about the mix, and they do stuff, and I'm just sitting there like, this is wild.
That is wild.
I mean, yeah, what a great experience working with David Bottrell as well. I mean, he's an absolute
legendary.
I've learned so much from working with him. I've spent thousands of hours in the studio with him, literally, and I've learned so much.
You were obviously a big Silverchair fan. Like, Silverchair to us is
super.
I mean,
come on,
I can't express enough how
I don't know even know
Silverchair is.
You don't have to. I'm on the same page.
I mean,
I get it.
Diorama's over there.
Like, that's possibly my most favorite album of all time. Like, of our generation, say 1995 to 2010 kind of thing or whatever. Like all that, most underrated, best album ever.
Oh yeah,
it just is.
Oh yeah,
is.
That one's a gold mine. That's an album that people are probably still discovering and going, what?
Oh yeah, I think that's gonna pop up in another 15 years from now. Like, you know what I mean? It's gonna be one of those things that it's gonna be like, all of a sudden someone's gonna hook it, and it's gonna be like, oh shit, like how did we miss that? And it's gonna.
I hope so. Yeah.
I think so. I hope so. It's so good.
Need to pop up more. More often.
There's so many songs, songs on that.
He was kind of surprised, actually.
I'm a huge Silverchair fan, still am.
When we brought that up to him, he was kind of surprised, like,
because I was like, man, that's my favorite, possibly my favorite album of all time. Like, I love it. Yeah. And he was like, what? Yeah. I was like, yeah, man, I love it. Like, I love it. Like,
it is.
This is that's part of the reason why I want to talk to you, is because I want to ask you about this, amongst other things, but a little bit about this.
Amazing, yeah.
Because they had the Diorama documentary too. Like, you watch them ripping around in taxis and shit, and I'm like, look at David Bottrell. This is crazy. Like, this is awesome. So it was so cool. Like, that was a cool trip to talk to David Bottrell. I will say that. And of course, we had gear problems tonight that we're going to talk to David Bottrell. Of course, like you would.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Oh man, look, hey, that's part of their gear problems on every session. So it's
fun.
like you got to figure that. One of the biggest things of to jump back into a specific thing about studio engineering, audio engineering. One of the biggest skills you need to have is troubleshooting.
Oh yes,
it's like there's no possible way to get by without having like a good level of troubleshooting. And man, it's crucial. It's so important. So that comes up all the time, whether it's minor or major. Sometimes there's major things sometimes it's just minor things, but they need to be sorted out quickly, precisely, efficiently. And you got to do your best to do that. So, hey,
it worked.
Technical difficulties
I didn't
happen,
sweat too much.
But it's how you recover from them.
Yeah. I was sweating a little bit for a second, but got it figured.
As much as you want to kind of create your own style and go down your own path into your career, like, would you say he's the most influential person you've worked with at Metalworks?
No, I don't know about that. Because and I think any engineer or producer would tell you this, that if you're fortunate enough to work with a bunch of people, which I was at Metalworks. I mean, I could list off a bunch of some names you would have heard of, some you wouldn't have heard of producers and engineers I've gotten to work with over the years there. And they've all, like, I take away a lot of things from each of them, because everyone is an individual. You don't really see too many people that are generic doing that. You know what I mean? There isn't. Everyone's got a unique way of doing something, and everyone has their own style interacting with an artist, and everyone has their own systems and systems of note taking and everything. So you take a little bit from everyone. It's really, like, a great analogy is any musician who's influenced by or any musician who of like a certain acclaim or who's gotten to a certain level, they'll all say, and sometimes you can hear it, they're like, yeah, I was influenced by this artist and that artist and that artist, and you can kind of hear it in their music. Or maybe it's an influence, they're influenced by an artist who you don't necessarily hear it in their music, but you can kind of tie in where that influence affects them a little more generally or aesthetically or something like that.
Style or something.
So it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. Stylistically. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing in the studio. I've learned so many techniques and creative, I'm trying to avoid the word tricks, because people love to say the word trick. There aren't really, there are some tricks, but there aren't. But it's more like, creative approaches and techniques, and it depends whether you're talking about different ways to mic something up versus mixing things or whatever. And there's certain things that I could probably think back to and go, I definitely picked up this, and this from David Bottrell, and I picked up this, and this from El Stu Young and Nick Blagona and who else? Josh Goodwin or whoever, all kinds of people that I've gotten to assist and work with, and over the years of the studio, you pick up a little bit from everyone, which was great. So I don't think I worked with anyone who was, like, by far, like, a biggest influence. They kind of all were.
Yeah, it's funny too, because I think like, everybody sees the signal path differently. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit more kind of in the industry thing or whatever. But like, that's the one thing I always notice with that stuff is like you hear, because you hear a lot of people tell, like, kind of like more producers, I think, or whatever, like pop producers and stuff, is more like, I have a vocal chain, like I use X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. and that's how this is my sound or whatever, you know, like, but like, where did you develop that from? Oh, well, I was doing this project and we did this, and then that sounded cool. But then when I did this, that sounded cool. And then one day we were working with somebody else, and they showed me this cool plugin or whatever whatever the gear is, kind of thing. And then you end up in this, you know, I like these sounds. I like the way that these things make the sound, and then you start using them, kind of thing, and that becomes your thing. And it's the way you put it through. It's the thing you put first. It's the thing you put last. It's the way you where you put it, how you put it. You know, like there's a lot of things that go into it.
I like to learn kind of the character of the tools, be it this particular microphone, this particular preamp, compressor, whatever, miking technique, all that. And then have like kind of a bank of knowledge of different things, and then kind of put it together. I don't really have like a specific chain for anything, really. I like to kind of just know the tools and then apply them in the situation where I think they best fit. Well, and you know, sometimes you don't have the luxury of having your choice of anything, right? Like sometimes you're at a studio or a smaller space, or you're at home. You know, I'm in my home studio. I have like a few mics and stuff, but I don't have what, you know, the selection you'd have at a studio. Yeah. And I work at some smaller studios for overdubs, and they have this selection of mics, and I'll have a bunch of people set up. So I'm like, okay, so on acoustic guitar, we're going to use this because of those options. I think this is our best option. And so, you know what I mean? It's
get the most out of what's available, kind of thing.
Get the most out of what's available. And you just sort of, one thing I really like about recording and doing the studio thing is that every day, every session is, even if it's in the same studio, and I know exactly what mics are there, and I kind of know generally what I'm going to use, there's an element of like, what are we going to get today? You know, like every day is a new clean slate. Every new session is a new clean slate. And I like the idea of coming in, hearing something, and then deciding, okay, here's how we'll do it. Or, you know what, I think I'm going to run this mic through this compressor and smash it like this. And it's just trying something new. I like leave a little bit to, I don't want to say to chance, but leave a little bit for the day, on the day, to use my ears and go, what's the vibe today? What am I feeling today? How could we make this interesting today? Every day's a new day. You always get something a little bit different, right? Mm-hmm. And so someone might come in. I might have a preference for how microphones and whatever else I put on a kick drum, but then someone might come in with a different style of kick drum, and it's like, oh, you know what, we want like a more kind of big boomier ambient sound. Like, okay, cool. So why don't we not do the usual thing, and why don't we pull the mic way far back so we get like a more of a room sound? Just like one example of infinity that I could give on just kind of not winging it, but you know, you're prepared. You know what everyone's bringing. You know the songs you're going to be doing and stuff. But it's like, how can we just leave room to sort of be creative on the technical side of things too?
Yeah, I like that. I like a little bit of studio magic. Like that's what I like, is like that studio magic. Like, and I think that comes with like knowing what the gear does. Like you don't always need a pile of gear to make it awesome, kind of, you know, like that's how I kind of always see it. Like a little bit of limits kind of make you think harder. Like that's something I like, is like
get the best.
Yes.
Getting the best out of what you have in front of you.
Your engineering muscles.
Yeah. Like I like the little bit of limits. Like this is like, to be fair, like I'll never get to do it again, but working on tape is something that I really like. Or even like saying, okay, we're limiting this. Like we're not putting 300 tracks up and just going to town here. Let's do a 12 track. Let's do a 12 track. And like, we'll bounce, like, let's do this. Like, let's do it that way. Or like whatever the thing is, like just make it a little bit harder, like to really get what you're after versus just kind of like, I mean, it's not as easy as like getting the cool plug-in and whatever, but sometimes it's kind of like, okay, let's just get the cool plug-in kind of thing or whatever, you know, like there's those things or whatever, but like rather than doing all that, let's limit it, make it a little bit tougher because we'll come up with something more than likely cooler because it's something we wouldn't have done. So let's do that instead. Let's try that. Or, you know, like
that reminds me,
I like the limit thing. I like the squish it thing. I
did a thing with a friend of mine. I worked with his band, and then he did a couple of solo tunes. They were kind of like rootsy. I wouldn't say country tunes, but they were a little more kind of roots. Yeah, kind of like rootsy tunes, Americana type kind of tunes. And he kind of wanted to record it a little more old school, you know, like use minimal mics on the drums and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. So when I mixed it, like I mixed it in the box, which is how I've mixed everything for ages now.
Yeah. But
what I decided to do, and I told him that, because in the studio we were talking about gear, and the studio we were at had an SSL console, a lot of buttons and stuff. And he said something that I've always remembered. He's like, I really like big knob gear. Like gear that has like a big knob on it.
Big L-Tech.
Like bass, treble. Big All-Tech preamp or EQ, a Pultec EQ, a compressor that's just like an LA2A.
Yeah, right?
Just like it's like gain reduction and gain makeup and stuff. And I totally got what he was saying. And I was like, that's a really cool way of doing it. So when I mixed it and I talked with him about it, I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to like make a gear list, like 2 Pultecs, these 2 compressors, this EQ, And I said, what I'm going to do is only use, obviously in the box, you can use, if you have a Pultec plugin, you can put infinity Pultecs on everything. I said, I'm only going to have 2 Pultecs. And I either have to dedicate them to like the vocal or the drum or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I have to have it on a bus and run everything through it. But I'm only going to have 2 Pultecs. I'm going to have like a tape plugin. I'm going to have this, and this. So basically I made like a gear rack of plugins, and I limited myself to only using those on it. I was like, okay, I have 2 Pultecs. I have 2 LA2As. I have 2 1176s. I have a tape machine. I have one plate reverb, or however it was that I did it.
Yeah.
But it was like a minimal amount of gear because we had a minimal amount of tracks. It wasn't, you know, it might only been like 12 tracks.
Yeah.
And so what you mentioned about the limitations reminded me of that, and we really liked that. It was just like, no, we're just going to use, we're going to put those limitations on this project because we from the start we recorded it in a certain way that we wanted to make it, I wouldn't say minimal, but not, you know, we didn't have a mic on every drum, you know, we didn't have 15 mics on the drum kit. We maybe had like 4 or something. And that was the whole point. So in the mix stage, I don't want to then, you know, throw all these crazy plugins on everything and multiband compression and turn it into something that it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I said, let's continue this experiment. And even though we're working with plugins, I'm only going to use like 10 plugins and not just and then use multiple of them. Literally only 10 plugins. Like you would if you were mixing on an analog console in the studio and you had these pieces of gear, figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that kind of thing. Like there's something to that because like you say, you can just endlessly, as if you got RAM, you can put as many plugins as you feel like, and you can, it's an endless, like that's something that I find, like, do you find it hard to like stop sometimes when you're in the box? Sometimes like you just get a little too carried away sometimes. The plugins are going crazy. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you think you're on the right path, but maybe you're not. Like all of a sudden you realize you've got every plugin open.
What I find is I don't tend to go crazy on the plugins. My mindset is more, I'm a little more like I don't know. I don't want to say like a little more rock and roll about it, but my mindset is a little more about, how would I put it? Something. It makes me nervous when I start like loading up plugins. I'm like, oh shit, do I really need this much?
Yeah.
If I work on Pro Tools, so Pro Tools has like 10 plugin slots in 2 banks, plugins A, B, C, D, E, and F, G, H, I, J, or whatever in 2 banks. And if I fill up that first bank with the 5, it psychs me out if I then add another one.
That's too many.
And I've told that to a friend of mine, and he was like, dude, that's weird. And I said, I know, but it's like, it's something about those limitations. I'm going,
it's psychological. You can just keep going.
If I can't achieve what I want with 5 plugins stacked up, then maybe I'm doing something wrong.
One little mono track. Like, what are we doing here?
Because, like, let's bring it back to Nirvana. That album still sounds so amazing. Nevermind, right? Andy Wallace, I mean, like, he would mix on a SSL console, and he's famously known for not using much outboard gear at all.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, if I need more than 5 plugins, is that what am I doing? Now, that's me, right? Like, I'm not saying that no one should use more than five plugins. You should use as many plugins as to get the sound that you want.
Yeah.
But for me, I get psyched out by that. But to go back to what you were saying about like getting lost in the sauce in the box, what I find is I'm pretty good about not getting lost in that way. But I do find that it's easy to overcook a mix sometimes. Like you can really over process and just get to a point where I feel like I've it's happened in the past where I've been like, man, have I maybe like carved this out too much? Or I get lost in that sense and I'm like, am I doing too much? It's like, I like the sound of this, but right. It's just a total psychological thing, but yeah, I think you definitely can get lost in it. And I think I have to still work to make sure I don't do that. I need to kind of be focused. A lot of that is simply just taking a lot of ear breaks. And again, I like to be organized and I sort of like roll it through in my head. Okay, how am I going to approach this mix? I'll do like a lot of preparation on the Pro Tools session before actually starting to mix and just kind of like sort of try and sort things out ahead of time, so that I don't get bogged down in that when I should be just running through and focusing on the creative aspect of it,
Yeah. Do you ever do like the stage diagram of the mix kind of thing? Like, do you ever get involved in that kind of stuff?
Stage diagram of the mix?
Yeah, almost kind of like you put your pieces like, in the mix, like kind of like on a stage, like almost like a sound stage in front of you. You kind of like draw and whatever, where you want things to kind of pop up or be kind of thing within the field kind of thing.
I probably do that like mentally, but I never actually draw it out on paper.
Oh yeah. That was the thing that he was like, just draw it. That was always like Tony's thing was always like, just draw it out. Just draw it out. That's cool. Yeah. He's like, just draw it out. Like that's all he would always say. And like, for some reason that really clicked with me. I was like, oh yeah, actually, yeah. This would be
That's a cool philosophy. Yeah. That's a cool philosopy, right? Like that's a unique way to look at it. And I don't know, maybe if I had heard that from someone, that could have resonated with me too. I don't know. Yeah. That's an interesting philosophy. That's an interesting approach. Yeah, because I can
I can kind of visualize it, but I don't know, something clicked really cool when he was like, just draw it like boxes with names in it, and this is kind of like where you want things to be. Like this is how you want it to come through. This is where you want that part to come up. Like, where do you want it to be? Where do you want it to be? Kind of thing. That was always his thing. Like, and if something's there and you want it to be at the front, make sure it's at the front. Like he was always like, be clear, right? Like be clear about what you're doing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his philosophy even really was. To be honest, it was just like, this makes way more sense if I put it in a box. It's like, I can now I can put it in its place kind of thing or whatever. It was really interesting though.
Well,
I didn't know if that was a passed on thing. It
clicked to you.
Yeah, it did.
It clicked for you. So that's amazing. I've never heard of that, but I like it. Like that is another philosophy to mixing, and that's totally valid. I think that's cool.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's always everybody's got their path forward, right? Everybody sees the signal different. It's just, yeah, it's very funny.
Absolutely.
And everybody gets similar results, but it's everybody's path to the end. It's very funny.
I kind of wanted to ask about who are you most excited to have worked with in the last little while? Who you think would really get you excited to hear their stuff, or you're excited to work with them again, or is there anyone or any artist around your area that you see?
Yeah, there's for sure. There's a couple. I've worked with someone else you interviewed recently, Avalon Stone.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I think you've done so great with what she's been putting out recently. Like it sounds absolutely amazing.
She's a great artist. Her band, they're great players, and we had a lot of fun doing the tunes that we've done so far. It's amazing. We've done quite a few, and so she's planning to release a whole bunch in the new year here, which is really exciting. She's already released a couple this year, or one late last year, and one. Hard to keep up with all the release schedules.
Yeah,
I'm not
new singles.
I think one just came out recently, actually. Yeah,
one came out. Rain came out last week. I want to say, last week.
Rain. Yeah. It's so that's been great to work on. I'm glad that she's releasing this stuff. Like she's got like a plan, and they're
right
putting stuff out. It's not going to sit around for a long time. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is
I was just talking with a buddy of mine today named Coster, and we I was recently in New York working with the guitar player that co-wrote 2 new songs with him, and Darren Leader, the drummer from Steel Panther, was actually playing drums and producing these 2 songs.
Nice.
And he was killer to work with. Awesome drummer and great dude, and very musical, and had great ears for like producing parts and sounds and stuff. So it was a blast. And so Koster has it's Koster, and he we've done some singles, and he mid last year maybe he dropped like the whole album, and so he's always a blast to work with, and his music is great, and everyone involved is a lot of fun to work with. And so I don't know how long it'll be before the couple new songs that we started working on. I'm not sure when those will happen, but I'm looking forward to it because they're kick-ass tunes.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
You put Koster on your Kevin Dietz Spotify playlist.
Yes, yeah.
So that's where I kind of first, a couple weeks ago or whatever, listened to the stuff that's been on your playlist there. So it's like, oh yeah, nice. This fucking band's awesome. You know what I mean?
Good answer. Check it out.
Yeah,
nice.
That's awesome.
Thanks for checking that out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Always.
Yeah. Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you for checking us out.
Thanks for checking me out. Checking
it. Are we checking each other out right now?
Are we checking it out? Are we checking each other out?
So funny.
I'm working on a couple things right now with a couple artists. We're just in like the guitar recording stage. So I remember recording guitars here at my place, and we're just kind of like working along on. I think each artist has like 6 songs that we're doing. You tend to do songs in smaller batches these days. Like even with Koster or Avalon. With Avalon, we did like 4 songs, 3 songs, and kind of like finished them all up in chunks, which was smart because then she would release them on a regular basis while we were working on other stuff.
Yeah.
And same thing with Koster. We would work on songs in chunks, and then he would release stuff, and then he put out an album. That was some new stuff working on. So it's a lot of like kind of leapfrog and checkerboard,
right?
With various different artists and stuff. But it's a lot of fun.
If you notice, probably
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm just happy that people are having me work on their stuff. I'm grateful.
I was going to say, like, the industry has changed so much in the last 20 years where, everything was like label, album, you know what I mean? To where now people, release a lot of singles and individual, like releases like that. Like
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, do you think what's your, impression of the music industry right now, as in like the labels and stuff? Like, do you think it'll get back? Do you think they'll ever change? I know people are kind of getting sick of how they kind of run things. I prefer the independent thing, but like it's, what's your opinion?
I don't know, man. We're in weird times because the big disruptor is going to be AI.
Yeah.
That's going to be like industry wise and on a technical level. That's going to be a massive disruptor, and we're already starting to see it. I think that real artists are always going to connect with people, and you like, okay, so we were talking about, the 90s and all the rock stuff and all that. And obviously the technology wasn't, we weren't in the digital age of music creation and distribution, like streaming and so on back then. But, where was I going with this? My train of thought derailed.
90s and AI.
Music industry, like independent versus label kind of thing, or with the AI.
Yeah,
AI.
People are always gonna connect with. They're always going to connect with actual artists and live music. I know where I was going with this. So rock music was really big. It was the biggest thing. All the biggest rock bands in the world, or all the biggest bands in the world, were mainly rock artists. Of course, there were huge hip hop artists in the 90s, and there were huge country artists in the 90s. There was huge everything in the 90s. But rock music was massive. Rock music is a lot more niche now. But like I'm a fan of metal as well. So like, one of my favorite metal bands is Gojira, for example.
Yeah.
And I've gone to see them a few times in the last few years, and they've gotten huge. They're, in Europe, they're playing to massive audiences, and here they're playing arenas and stadiums. They were touring with Korn, and so they played here to 20,000 people at the amphitheater and stuff. So you're not going to hear Gojira on the radio, right, on terrestrial radio.
No, 100%.
So they'll be on the metal stations on satellite radio and then of course streaming and whatever. But like live, they're getting huge. And so people are always going to gravitate toward real music, right?
Yeah.
The kind of manufactured stuff and AI stuff and all that, it might disrupt. It will disrupt the upper end of things, right? Like the Billboard charts and the industry as a whole. But I think it's just going to be more niche is what it is. Right. Yeah. But like, can you imagine I don't think there's going to be like an AI diorama. I don't think there's going to be an AI Jeff Buckley. You know what I mean?
No.
I don't think there's going to be an AI Lane Staley. I just don't think it's going to connect. But when one of those artists or albums or whatever comes along, I think people are going to recognize it and they're going to be drawn to it, but it's going to be niche.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the unfortunate part. Good thing about labels and all the promotion and all the, big money and the retail behind it, buying albums and actually making a profit with that, was that there's this whole ecosystem and infrastructure to promote artists. So, the Red Hot Chili Peppers put out an album and like the whole world knows about it. It's going to be harder to do that kind of stuff because I think at that level, it's all going to shift to record labels are basically beholden to tech companies now, right?
Yeah.
You know, Spotify is not a music company; it's a tech company.
Yeah.
Apple is not a music company. There's like a music division of the tech company.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be more, and the major labels are, they're banded together with these tech companies because the tech companies are the way that everyone is consuming music. So, but I think that the more grassroots stuff and independent stuff and even major label stuff, but with artists who are, keep coming back to the word real, but you know, like a Jeff Buckley or a Kurt Cobain or whoever you could say, like an Adele, right? Like she's phenomenal. She blew up because everyone was like, listen to this voice, listen to these songs, listen to the power and emotion in this, right? So I think artists like that will always be there, but it's just going to be more niche, right? You're going to have to kind of dig for it, and it's going to be harder for them to pop through and kind of, you know, break into the greater consciousness of music listeners. But and there'll be less opportunity, right? If independent artists or mid-level artists or even big artists, if they potentially big artists, if they can't sustain their career, a lot of them are not going to, you know, stick it out for as long as it takes to become that level of artist. You know,
I don't foresee big bands being a thing.
No one has a crystal ball, but is there going to be another U2 or Rolling Stones or I don't know, you name it, whoever? Is this? It's so hard to say.
Yeah, I can't see that anymore. Like that's something I think that kind of thing is long gone. Like, because I mean, like think about how many pop stars like rise and fall kind of in the zeitgeist now. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple people that kind of are hanging around, but it's every 5 years it gets less and less and less of that. Like, oh, we have a new superstar like a Michael Jackson or whatever that, you know what I mean? Like that level of person. Yeah. We don't have that really anymore. Like, and I think that part plays into it. The social media aspect plays into that because now you get like worn out looking at people sometimes because you see them everywhere. Yeah. So like after 2 years, it's like, okay, that's enough of that. Like no more of that, please.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, it's fair to say. I think maybe Taylor Swift would be the closest thing to that right now. But I mean, I
without a doubt.
Personally, I feel like a little bit of the human race is being dumbed down enough to maybe at some point in the next 10 or 15 years to actually fall for an AI, you know, produced song or an artist that people are tricked by. Do you kind of feel like it's always there? Like I feel like like it might not last. It might not be a longevity thing. It might just be like a one-hit wonder Eiffel 65 type of thing, or you know whatever. Like I mean, as much as those were real people, like it kind of had this cartoonish.
It won't be anymore,
right? But I mean, it's going to be. I think people are. Sad to say, moving in a direction where I think they'll be dumb enough to fall for this stuff just because they hear it. They won't know it's a real person, or even care to know if it's a real person or not. But I think at some point, as sad as it is to say, I think there will be an AI Billboard top charter. Like I mean,
well, that's coming now.
Sure.
Like they're talking about that kind of stuff. Like like at the Grammys, they're talking about like Grammy awards for AI songs. Is like. Whoa. So what do you get? Like, what do you say? Like, who do
you present it to?
Best prompter or whatever? Like, what do you call it? Yeah. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I can go on AI blobbity blops and like get 10 different samples of similar things, and piece it all back together and create a song out of it. Like, even if that song is new by comparison to getting, one of the generations of a full song kind of thing, even if I took the pieces and put them back together, it doesn't take long and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. And I don't know.
That's why I mean it's
what are you talking about?
It'll be like a one-hit wonder type of thing.
100%.
People will catch on eventually.
Very disposable music, right?
You know, I think people are kind of dumbed down enough now and just scrolling so much.
Yeah.
They're just going to get tricked by this, AI thing, and it's going to be a top charter. But
that's why I think that like real artists who really have something to say, they'll still exist. It's just going to be harder for them to find
100%
a bigger audience. But music lovers like the three of us are going to. And we'll be like, hey, did you hear so-and-so? You got to check out this artist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really good. And true music lovers will flock to those people, but it's going to be a lot harder for them to tour. It's going to be harder for them to, not necessarily to make albums, because the technology is available all over. It's not going to be in the same way as it was in the past, I'm sure. But, the technology is available to everyone. The barriers to entry in that regard are so low. So, but yeah, it's just going to be harder to find, and I think it's going to be harder to sustain, and it's just going to be more niche, and I think that's a bummer. But real music lovers will find real music, and I think real artists they'll have an audience, but it's going to be hard for them to find.
Yeah. And that's where the live aspect kind of takes over. I think so, because seeing someone live is like is an experience like that you won't get anywhere else, right? And it's like,
no doubt,
that's kind of how maybe that if it goes back to that grassroots type of thinking, kind of like that, like we got to get out there and play shows. We're real people. We're showing real emotions. We're showing telling real stories, and that's how it's got to get across to people. You know what I mean? Like it's
hopefully people respect that enough to actually support those artists who are doing it, because that's the other thing. It's great, and I hope artists continue to do that. But you can't just pay the $15 a month subscription fee and expect artists to hop in a van and go across the country and play their music for an audience to just get away with enough gas money to make it from Winnipeg to Thunder Bay.
Pretty much.
That's gonna be tough.
It's a tough gig.
It is, man. Touring, like I wouldn't tour now. Like
it's a tough
gig.
I
mean, I love making music and all the things that go along with all of it. And to be fair, I mean, I like it. I would love to. But in the reality of it, it's like, man, you don't make any money doing anything. Like
it's so hard,
and
even for bands who can draw, 1,000 or 2,000 people a night. It's damn near impossible for them to break even.
Yeah, it's
That's sad.
And the crazy part is, you think that we'd be at the point where the technology would kind of like, you know what I mean? Like you can bring I mean, most guitar players can get by on, you know what I mean? Like a fractal or whatever your deal is, like something you could carry in your hand, a guitar kind of thing. And like that part has gotten easier and less expensive in certain ways, but like it never evened out ever. It just never came back to like viable anymore. Like it's just super unfortunate because I don't know.
Tricky.
But the other angle is like, like are we at the like kind of like a Nirvana moment again, like where a band kind of pops through and changes things again, or like maybe like is this a point where like, it potentially would be like another tech company or something more than likely, but like, you got Spotify kind of going this way, or most, YouTube music, all the kind of things, Apple Music are kind of going this way, where someone could come along and say, okay, well, we're not going to do it that way. Let's do it this way. Now, maybe that's the angle, but I mean, who
could
knows?
Happen. Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It would be cool to see like an industry shift. Yeah. Somebody, somebody with some, that wants to grow an industry, because what the industry doesn't realize, especially with streaming, it's just eating itself. Like we'll get to a point where this will not be viable anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like other than the fact that you'll just be able to consistently release piles and piles of music because home studios are reasonably cheap, you're just going to end up with that kind of problem too. You know what I mean? Like it's going to eat itself eventually. Like it can't keep doing this.
It might. Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Napster, as cool as it was, and it introduced us to lots of cool shit. changed the whole thing.
It
Fuck
set
the
up
whole
a
thing
whole-
up. Just fuck the whole thing up for everybody.
The chain of events.
Well,
Didn't know what he was doing there.
first domino to fall.
Yeah, that was the right shoe. Left shoe was almost on the ground.
Metallica was right all along.
They were. Goddamn
Oh,
liars.
right. Oh,
Fucking
damn it.
liars.
He
Lars,
was. He was.
You son of a bitch, Lars.
Yeah.
You were
Lars,
right.
you were right.
You were right.
You were right.
He's the smartest member of Metallica for a reason. He's in charge. Oh, hilarious.
Kevin,
Kevin, man, we got to let you go.
it's been so good to have you
Super
on
Fair
man, and
enough.
talk music, my brother.
Yeah, super awesome. Love it, man.
And you're welcome
Always
back anytime.
happy and
I feel like we could keep this going for another couple hours, to be honest. But
just shooting the shit, eh?
yeah.
Yeah, 3 Alberta boys.
Fuck yeah, bud. Fuck yeah, bud.
Oh yeah, fucking
Yeah,
right,
bud.
fucking right.
Fucking right.
No, I love it. I love what you guys are doing with this podcast, and I'm interested to go back and keep watching your content. And yeah, thanks for having me on. I
Hey,
appreciate
man.
it. I love the chat. It's good hang.
Good
Talking
hang.
music.
Fuck
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
I love your guys' taste in music.
It's very similar, apparently.
Yeah.
Very similar,
we
apparently,
appreciate
so
you working on some of the music that we like. So we appreciate all of it, both ways around.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. I'm so grateful to have gotten to work on so much great music with so many great people. I'm a lucky guy.
You are, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
And this has been another episode of
And the year was 1985.